You already know what it is. It's your boy Ten Toes down, and we on the podcast. Been a few days since your boy been in the mix, man, but you already know, nigga outside the street, man, getting to it. Nevertheless, we gonna get right to it, man. It's fucked up what's going on right now with the boy Puffy, but it's going on, y'all. You know what I mean? It seems like we back in a situation with people, loved ones and friends and, close affiliates are now finding reasons to take sides against one another. Just like the election when Donald Trump came around, you know what I mean? We used that opportunity for whatever reason to find reasons to, pick sides against one another. And so that's what's going on right now. You know what I mean? People on social media, they all in the uproar with it, going crazy, saying this and saying that. What I find interesting inside the whole ordeal with just in the beginning is how the jury is, comprised of 8 men and 4 women. Like, I don't know how that happened. Not saying that I'm glad or I'm saddened that it happened. It's interesting that it went in like that because we are living in a time where, women are looking for liberation. You know what I mean? The Me Too movement was exactly that. Women are looking for liberation. And so in this dynamic that we see right now, their liberation in this particular incident with Sean P. Diddy Coons, who they are already, projected to be this larger-than-life image, right? The messed up ordeal with this thing right here is you got 8 men and 4 women. If for whatever reason they find Puffy not guilty, that jury, women, in my point of view, are going to be on some way more bullshit with men than what they already are on with men right now. I personally feel that, you know what I mean? And all of it will have stemmed from this Puffy situation. You understand? I mean, we saw the aftermath and how it shook out and fell out and remained to this day after OJ beat his case. You understand saying? So if Puffy beat this, man, I'm a man, and I love women. I can't speak for all men. I don't speak for all men, but, I'm going to be ready because I understand the vitriol behind it. Watching social media, because social media is a wicked place, man. But if you're looking for what's actually going on, it's on social media. And watching social media, one would infer that, this is a time for women to rally together in chorus to shoot down by shouting down the bad guy. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you listen to what's going on, I'm hearing all sorts of things, women and their own personal experiences with entertainers and women in their own personal experiences with the men in their lives. This is a time for them, unfortunately, because it has nothing to do with the case. That's why I'm saying unfortunately, right? Nevertheless, I'm hearing people, in chorus, well, it was done to me and, I was in this kind of situation with a dude, so I know what she's going through. You don't know what she's going through. You can identify with what she's going through, but you do not, in actuality, know what she's going through. You understand? And it's unfair for you to take this moment, for you to take this situation as it is and use it now as a place or, a way to unload and, unpack or dump off the bullshit that's going on inside of you. Because that's what's going on right now. None of the facts are, even appraised yet. I mean, we are in the beginning stages of this trial. What, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is, and you already got people formulating the pain. I mean, talking about, throwing this dude to the wolves and casting him with stones, and all of the facts and information is not even out yet. That shit is just ludicrous to me. Like, how can you make a decision or how can you make a judgment based on justice, right? If you only taking bits and pieces and looking at what you want to see. Like, come on. This man is on trial for his life right now. And however it spills out, whatever you want to say in the aftermath of it, from what's being produced and, put profit for evidence right now, Cassie wasn't no saint. Cassie was not no saint. They got texts multiple, but she's, intriguing him to the activity. Hey, when we gonna have a freak off? Yo, I love doing freak offs. Like, after we make freak offs, can we have love? Can we make love? This is what she's saying. There's no ventriloquist behind her. She's no marionette or no puppet. These are things that she was saying on her own volition. You understand what I'm saying? So we gotta be careful with regard to rushing to judgment. No, I'm not speaking for Diddy. Never did, never will. But this is bigger than Diddy. Diddy's a black man. Diddy's a black man who became successful in a white man's world that don't want to see black men successful. That's what I'm speaking to about in full. Because if it can happen to Diddy, it happened to me already. These motherfuckers put me in a cage, accused me of a crime that I didn't commit, and sat me down for 26 years. I know a plethora of other motherfuckers in the penitentiary now, man, falsely convicted, falsely accused, sentenced to life in the penitentiary behind this faulty criminal justice system, this racist, prejudiced criminal justice system. It's not about Cassie. They don't care about Cassie. They up there letting Cassie make a motherfucking fool of herself. Cassie is sitting up there looking like the stereotype black woman, right? Over-sexualized, uneducated. This is how she's presenting herself to be. I'm reading the transcripts as they come out, right? So this ain't about Cassie. She's just a pawn that they gonna push in this bigger game that they trying to serve to the people when they cook this nigga ass, right? They gonna bring the closest to him, right? And get them to spill all the beans, right? And then after that, they're gonna kick them to the curb and still go after the target. You see, but they should have came a little bit better in my, point of view, because from what I've been seeing, Cassie does not read a victim at all. She reads a co-willing, and interested participant. Go read the transcripts. They posting them on YouTube, right? She's texting back about, when she got a period, when she get off the period, when she gonna be available to come freak off. She's in there saying that, texting back and forth, initiating the text. Hey, what's up? When we gonna have another freak off? That's not how a victim sounds. A victim wanna get the fuck on up out of there. Once that freak off is over, that victim getting the fuck on up out of there and making sure they don't never return again. All that shit about she became addicted to the lifestyle, that's on her. She's an adult. Whether she was 22 or not, the law in this country says 18. This is when they say that you have the mental faculty and the capacity to make reasonable and sensible choices and decisions. You understand what I'm saying? So when we talk about that, we have to speak to it with an unbiased tongue, because a biased tongue is a lying one. This ain't got nothing to do with Puffy. Don't nobody give a fuck about Puffy. Puffy's a creep. Puffy's a creep. I don't speak for Puffy. But I speak to the system, and I speak to the position in which they cast Puffy in which they has casted him, and the way they are delivering so-called, quote-unquote, justice to the people while in the eyes of the masses. That alone ensures that he will have enough grounds for reversal, because there's no way in the world he can get a jury or a jury member or jury participants that can sit there and say that they are not knowledgeable about what's going on in this situation right now. While they're trying them, you got all different types of media outlets and shows and stuff giving commentary about it. Casting their, perspective, decisions about it. Come on, man. I mean, if this ain't a goddamn one-trick pony show, then I don't know what the hell it is, man. This shit is kangaroo court what they doing to this man right now. And because we, in our miserable and, next to nothing lives, we find enjoyment in being able to, cast ridicule at this dude for the same things that a bunch of us practice in our personal lives. Right? Because if we speaking to the charges, I ain't see a crime yet. She said the dude introduced to the drugs. Okay. So after school, motherfuckers is standing on the wall. One little kid got some weed. They light it up and pass it around to the nigga who never smoked it before. They introduced him to him. Is that a crime? That little motherfucker could have said no. No, thank you, I'm good. Right? All that, because he Puffy and who he was and how his image is, that's a bunch of bluster, man. Anybody can say that, I was in front of Jay-Z and I just fainted. You understand what I'm saying? When my niece tried it, y'all motherfuckers ridiculed her for it. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we make our own choices, especially when we wear and adorn the titles of being adults. Right? When that man offered her some whatever it is she said he offered her, she could have been like, nah, I'm good. And that's not uncommon for that to take place in the party scene. What do you mean? People go to parties just to get high. What the fuck is we talking about? Right? Because we're not going to do the hypocrisy shit over here. You know, you got girls making songs about it, so I'm going out tonight because I hate it home. So when motherfuckers go out, they go out to unwind. You know, him offering her a tablet or something and she accepted it, that's on her. She ain't say that nigga put in the yolk and forced it in her mouth. She ain't say why they was winding it down and he, you know, put a pill inside her behind like these cats was out here doing a few years ago. She ain't say none of that. She said he introduced it to her, she took it, accepted it. That was on her own volition. That is not a crime, right? Then they got testimony of her yesterday when she was talking about before she let Puff smash, she let the nigga eat the pussy, right? Typical shit we see going on out here today. Oh, I got a man, but I want to play around, so she let the nigga eat the pussy. But once she start playing around and she got a commitment that she's beholden to and she knows that Puffy was seeing Kim Porter at that time, may Allah keep her, whatever the case may be, she still decided to engage in that just because he was Puffy? She was starstruck. That's his fault. Because if she walking around, you know, in relationships and having sex or whatever, she said the first time she ever got her pussy ate is when Puffy ate her pussy. Man, get the fuck out of here. You know, the first time she ever did drugs is when he entered. Come on, home. She came into the industry. Ain't nobody believing Cassie came into no industry, no fucking virgin. You understand what I'm saying? So you know, it's like we in a position right now where we got the comical versus the factual. What do we believe? We got to sift through this bullshit in order to make sense of this dumb shit. Because for the life of me, I don't know a victim that after having been victimized runs and chases behind those who are her abusers to still play along. Yeah, I heard of, you know, Stockholm Syndrome and all of those stuff like that, that Patty Hearst and them, you know, suffer from it, you know, being able to identify and, you know, relate to your captors and no, this ain't that. This is not that. This was somebody who wanted to be down until she didn't no more. You know, she speaks to an 11-year relationship with the guy. Said one day she didn't want to have sex, but he took it anyway. Like, what about these relationships where you ain't gotta ask if we fucking with each other? Let's stop playing with that. So now they want to now make him a criminal, right? For a behavioral practice that they equally engaged in their quote-unquote relationship. You see what I'm saying? So let's be a little bit more reserved with regard to just jumping out there to passing judgment, man. Again, I don't speak for the dude Puffy, man. I can't, I don't, and I won't. You see what I'm saying? But what they doing to this guy has been foretold. Those who have that type of knowledge, that type of awareness, that type of consciousness can relate to what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? And he's just the one that they got right now, and they're going to serve him, y'all. They're going to serve him right in front of us. And the majority of us going to be clapping, applauding, because the most of us don't know no better. That's why it's so quick and easy to believe the majority of us, because the most of us don't know no better, and we should, man. You know, I don't see no crime that this man committed in his engagement with her. Has he ever committed a crime? I'm not speaking to that. That is not what this man is on trial for. That's another thing people got to get away from. That tape of him stomping that girl out proves nothing. And a smart lawyer and a clever lawyer can use that because the media has pushed it around so much, done bombarded us with that imagery. They can use that to build the ground of reversal on that. Because that's an uncharged crime. People versus Melano. That's an uncharged crime. That doesn't give any propensity or give any mens rea as to why. That happened in a moment. You can't say because it happened, did it always happen? Because you don't have no facts on that. You have no information on that. She can come out here and say this, that, and the third. Oh, he bruised me and then I put makeup on it. Come on. Because the text is saying something different, and this is just only the text. Believe you me, that man is not hiring no goddamn $10 million legal team to come out here and just expose her and tear her character up. Nah, this is a bigger fight. Mark my words on that. This is a bigger fight. You see what I'm saying? But like I was saying, man, you know, it's too much bullshit going on to say that this man is definitively the monster that they trying to make him out to be. I don't care what the news media is saying. ABC, CBS, NBC, TMZ, all of them are part and parcel to the power structure, or to what we call powers that be. I don't care what they say, because they exercise and, flourish inside a thing called technology. You know, they use that media and they use the pundits on it. And they get them to try and form and shape the perception of the people. It's called people control, right? And this is one of their mediums that they use to exercise that type of control over the people. Put it on TV and let them speak about it. Case ain't even over, and all the top media pundits calling this man a fucking creep, an animal. The most influential people in the country is calling this dude out his name. What you think the majority gonna do? Follow suit. Because the majority ain't as smart as the few who they got on them TVs as the pundits. You know, this is a $1 billion industry we dealing with. If they want the people to see a person in a particular way, that's exactly the way the people gonna see him. Especially the uneducated and the unaware and the indifferent among us. You know, it's too much bullshit to be going on in our community, right? And in this world, as it relates to our community, for us to be over here taking sides against those in our community. Shame on you and shame on those who support that type of mental thinking, because that shit is whack. This shit ain't got nothing to do with Puffy. This criminal and justice system is crazy. You see what I'm saying? Now, moving right along. Two more things before I bounce. The thing with Tory Lanez, that shit crazy, y'all. Come on, man. Dude's been saying from the beginning that that girl Megan Thee Stallion was lying, man. The prosecution comes out, is being reported now, withheld information from a bodyguard that had testimony that would have been in Tory Lanez's favor. An eyewitness, a dude who said that he seen actually what happened, and that Megan Thee Stallion was lying. That's all Tory Lanez needed in order to create a reasonable doubt for him to be able to get around that bullshit. She know that girl clapped her, and she ain't want to say nothing because she knew she was fucking boy behind that girl back. You understand? They all got caught up in the trick back. Shots rang out. I don't even think she got shot. I think she stepped on that glass, man. But nevertheless, it got boy in a situation. They just tried to air him out last night. Yesterday out there. They hit him 14 times. You know, people trying to attribute that toward her, attribute it toward the record label. I don't know. But I know it was because she fingered him and testified against him that put him there. And while in there, for whatever reason, dudes got sexy with him. You know, that shit is crazy because let's just say, suppose that man is really innocent. I think he is. But let's just say, suppose information come out to show that this woman was really lying. And they put this dude in prison over some fucking he say, she say shit between the sheets. And nigga hit that nigga 14 times. And we leave it as a whole hum moment when our kids is looking up to these people. You know how many girls love Megan Thee Stallion, man? But we definitely don't want to serve her up as an example if she out here getting caught up in bullshit like this. Man almost lost his life because she want to play games between the sheets, do all that pillow talking. Motherfucker get clapped, which I don't think she stepped on the glass. I think she stepped on the glass, right? However, whatever. That ain't enough to see a motherfucker or even to want to see a motherfucker in a position where he could lose his life. Didn't we just lose young Dolph for $800? So now we gonna lose Tory Lanez, some SA motherfucker that ain't nobody care. They probably told that nigga go do that for some smokes and some coffee. And they negotiated wherever that came from on another level. But the shot they sent, they probably gave that nigga some coffee and a couple of cigarettes, man. You understand? Saying nevertheless, they had boy in a situation where he could have lost his life. behind some sucker shit? And we just sit around and go, oh, that's Hollywood, it don't got nothing to do with me. What you mean it don't got nothing to do with you? That's all these kids out here doing today. Megan Thee Stallion and them leading the charge about fighting over dick. Who the fuck you think your kid's listening to? Right? She put herself in a situation where motherfuckers, every time her name is brought up, it's associated with cheese. She put herself in that situation. For whatever her reasons were. You know, that's the thing I was telling this one sister, man, that a lot of women give a backhand to the women's movement. Because it don't matter by your gender. We all have human ways and human desires and human errors and human, sensibilities. And so just like you can have a group of men, and within that group of men, one is more selfish than the most. One is more ruthless than the most. So shall you have it in a group of women. You get a bunch of these women ride on the Me Too movement coattails, and then they start making selfish choices for themselves, right? That then inadvertently gives the movement face a backhand. Because here it is, you done tried some sucker shit that got your head caught in the trick bag, and now you trying to use this Me Too stuff. Same thing when dudes be misusing the race card. Shannon Sharp don't got no dibs on no race card in the situation he in right now. He jumped in that trick bag. You understand? So these are the things that we see, and we have to speak to them. Because if we don't, sooner more than later, they will become impactful to us, man. This ain't about shooting Cassie down, but it is about, if you gonna point the finger, make sure your shit right. Make sure this is where you want to go, and this is the type of outcome you don't mind seeing coming about. Same thing, they killed the young boy in Philly the other day, I forgot, QLP or something like that. Shorty nice. The kid Gilly, he said something that made a point. They robbed the kid for his chain. But where they gonna get the chain off? Where are they gonna get the chain off? There's nowhere for them to go get that chain off. That chain is the hottest thing in the city right now. The hottest thing in the city. If nigga pop up with that chain, the Diddy's coming to speak to him. Right? So they done jack boy for the chain, parked him, right? And now they definitely can't wear it, because whoever wear it gonna get snatched up. Come on, homie, niggas gotta do better. Niggas not preaching. You do what the fuck you want. But we tearing down our own fucking community. Look at the police in these fucking communities where violence is high, man. You can't walk down a block or two without seeing them swarming all over the fucking place. But they out here because we giving them a fucking reason to be out here. And what the fuck is the reason? I don't like that nigga. You don't even know that nigga. Fuck that bitch. You don't know her. Fuck you taking shit personal for motherfuckers you don't even know. You down with any crew, any gang, any type of movement that leads you in a direction that you know is wrong, you the one who was at fault for that. Because you knew it was wrong. You see what I'm saying? Don't wait for situations to come up to start picking sides against each other. Stop that shit. Instead of looking for things that we can find that will put us against each other, we start looking at things that will bring us more in fucking commonality with one another. Ain't nobody talking about no kumbaya shit, but leave the bullshit over there. You don't see that being practiced or done in no other community except ours, man. We each trying to tear each other down. For what? So that they can sit back and go, see, I told you. It's like the famous quote that Tupac said years ago, but I really believe it came from J. Edgar Hoover. And he said, give them guns. Give the niggas guns. Step back and watch them destroy each other. And we still fucking doing it. You park a nigga, you get knocked. 2 birds with 1 stone. Powers that be, step back and see. Say, hey, I told you so. Nah, homie, man, we gotta do better than that, man. But I'm gonna leave it right there. Like I said, I was just coming to give you my take on this thing with Puffy, man. This thing with Puffy and Cassie, shit look nasty, man. You understand? Saying shit look totally nasty, man. All that other unnecessary shit, stay out of that. You know, don't throw a stone without being prepared for a rock to come back. You understand? Saying if that shit don't got nothing to do with anything that's going to advance you and your agenda or your movement or bring progress to you, why fuck with it? Because you think you got time to spend or time to kill? Time don't belong to either of us to be able to be making demands on time. When time is here, we got to snatch it and make do of it and with it. You know, because if the most of you sit down and just, you know, get into some introspection, especially the young people, man, and ask yourself the reason why you be doing some of the shit that you be doing, you ain't even gonna fucking know. So really and technically, that was a wasted shot. And for what? For what? To show niggas that you could do it been done before. And it will be done after you gone. Ain't nothing new under the sun. You see what I'm saying? But why you got the time, why you got the moment, you got to make this shit count, man. You know, I ain't knocking Cassie if that was her agenda from go. You know, I'm going to get this nigga. You know, that's another thing. Look who she running off with. Imagine seeing that. Imagine a white woman suing a white man for all types of crimes and abuses. And that white man give her a $30 million bag and she jet off into the sunset with a nigga. Or she jet off into the sunset with a black man. Yo, homie, we can't even fathom that because we've never seen that. But yet, here it is right in our face, man. Right in our motherfucking face. Right? We ain't playing on black and white, but we paying attention to it. Because that's exactly who she got in her ear. The white guy, yo, with puffy bag, huh? You know, that bag that all, if not all, I'm not going to say most white guys don't ever want to see a black man with, man. Y'all pay attention to that, man. Stay 10 toes down. You already know what came from here came from me. YouTube ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. They just give me some space so I can have some space to talk my shit. Keep hitting them like buttons and make sure you subscribe. We're about to start going live soon, so make sure you subscribe. In the next week or so, I'm going to get it up and we going live because we got to speak to this shit in real time. Until then, you already know, aim to win. Aha.